Welcome to the debate. Think about the physical dimensions of a pop song.
Right.
For decades, a song was, 3 to 4 minutes long. And that wasn't because of some golden ratio of human emotion. It was because that's exactly what fit on a 45 RPM vinyl record.
Yeah, the physical medium completely dictated the structure of the art.
Exactly. But today, the medium is in vinyl. It's a social media feed. And if a listener doesn't hear a hook in the first 3 seconds, they just swipe away.
And that brutal reality forces a stark choice on modern musicians, right? Do you fight that constraint, or do you reverse engineer your art to survive it?
Which brings us to the core of today's discussion. We're unpacking that exact tension through a recent retrospective conversation between the Japanese musical group EeL, their producer Sandu, and Ryoma Maeda.
Right. They were reflecting on their wildly prolific early 2000s era.
Yeah, and laying out this fascinating new plan. They're engineering highly danceable 2-minute tracks specifically to go viral on short-form video platforms.
So the core disagreement we're looking at is this. Is this calculated viral targeting just a natural evolution of their original rapid-fire pragmatic style? Or does it completely hollow out the raw, chaotic artistry that made their early work special?
I'll take the first position here. Explicitly designing concise, viral music is a savvy, pragmatic adaptation that perfectly aligns with their long-standing history of rapid, instinctual creation.
And my position is that explicitly chasing an algorithm strips away the authentic, idiosyncratic constraints that actually birthed their most creatively resonant work.
Well, let's look at EeL's DNA. They have never been precious about their art.
No, definitely not.
Back when they made the album Kung Fu Master, they were cranking out roughly 1 song a day. That is a literal factory pace.
It's insane.
Right? And they actively avoided deep meaning. They chose lyrics in French, Portuguese, and English simply because the phonetics sounded cool, not for any profound narrative depth.
Sure, but...
So when they say their modern plan is to churn out 2-minute tracks until an internet dance group like the Real Akiba Boys picks one up, to me that's the exact same hyper-productive, meaning-agnostic mindset. They're just swapping an old daily quota for a new viral quota.
I really don't think you can equate those two mindsets.
Why not?
Because the early 2000s era was defined by genuine chaos and severe technological bottlenecks, not market engineering. Remember how this music was actually made? They were using early hardware long before you could just drag and drop infinite tracks on a laptop.
Oh, you mean the Yamaha RM1X?
Exactly, which is essentially a drum machine combined with a synthesizer, and they used Akai S3000 XL samplers. Yes, their aesthetic wasn't deep. Producer Sandu was intentionally wrapping his punk and new wave roots in Shibuya K.
That very specific, sample-heavy, glossy retro pop sound from 90s Tokyo.
Right, but that was a sincere artistic disguise. Reverse engineering a tempo so a TikTok dance crew will use your audio isn't an artistic disguise. It's making a product to spec.
But wasn't their early stuff already made to spec in a way? In the retrospective, they openly admitted they were embarrassed by Japanese lyrics because the meaning was too obvious.
Yeah, I remember that.
They actually wanted surface-level impact over narrative depth. They just wanted you to move to the rhythm. If the goal has always been immediate, visceral, sonic impact, why is targeting a modern dance trend any different?
Well,
it's just a more efficient delivery system for their original goal.
Because intent changes the output. Think about their album People People. It was stuffed with tracks because they literally ran out of time to edit and curate it.
Right.
The messiness was a byproduct of a human limit. If you build a chaotic puzzle blindfolded, you get something weird and unexpected. But if you meticulously design a puzzle so the final image is exactly the TikTok logo, you might be using the same cardboard, but the soul is gone.
The soul is gone? Come on.
It is. One is an expression of an internal moment, and the other is just compliance to a platform's metrics.
I have to push back hard on the idea that calculation or compliance kills the soul. Sandu already proved it doesn't. Just look at the track Wannabe.
Oh, the homage track.
Exactly. He stripped away the guitars and built this purely electronic homage to the Swedish band The Wannadies. It was incredibly calculated.
Right.
He didn't even tell EeL the concept while they were recording. It was basically a conceptual experiment, yet it remains one of their most streamed songs today. Calculation absolutely works as pop art.
Wait. You're conflating two very different types of calculation there. Wannabe wasn't calculated to game a distribution algorithm.
It was still calculated.
But Sandhu wrote it because he went to a Wannabe's concert, loved it, and was inspired. It was a calculated musical homage born from sincere fandom.
Okay, but the result?
What they're proposing now, writing a song specifically to solicit direct messages from influencers for a 15-second video clip, shifts them from being artists expressing their influences to being content suppliers feeding a social media ecosystem.
Are those roles mutually exclusive today, though? You said earlier that their old samplers forced them to be creative. How exactly did that work? Because I see the modern algorithm as just the new version of that sampler constraint.
Okay, well, an Akai S3000 XL sampler had incredibly limited RAM. We're talking megabytes of memory.
Right. Almost nothing by today's standards.
Literally nothing. So, if you wanted to load in a drum break or a vocal chop, you couldn't just drop in a high-quality 3-minute file. You had to physically pitch the sample up so it played faster and took up way less memory.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, or you'd have to cut off the tail ends of cymbal crashes. The physical hardware literally squeezed the music into weird, choppy, idiosyncratic shapes. The constraint created the style.
Right, and the modern constraint is the Spotify skip rate. I mean, Sando pointed out that listeners today often skip right after the first chorus.
Sadly, yes.
The 4-minute pop song is dying because of consumer behavior. The platform physically shapes the music now, so they engineer a 2-minute track that puts the hook right at the front.
But
It's the exact same dynamic. The environment squeezes the music and the artist adapts.
when the hardware squeezed the audio, it made the texture of the sound more interesting. When the algorithm squeezes the attention span, it just demands that the song be aggressively loud and immediately catchy. It flattens the art instead of texturing it.
I don't think it flattens it if the artist treats it as an engaging puzzle. And look at who we're talking about here. Ryoma Maeda is off in Da Nang, Vietnam, running triathlons. Sandhu is studying hot springs, getting certifications, and taking up drawing.
Yeah, I saw that in the interview, but how did their outside hobbies justify compromising their music?
Because it explains their mechanism of creation. They don't view music as this precious, fragile identity that must be protected from the real world.
I wouldn't call it fragile.
But they view it as a discipline, right? A project, a puzzle to solve, just like training for a triathlon or studying for a certification. They are pragmatic problem solvers.
I suppose so.
If the problem is, how do we get people to hear our music in 2026? Well, the solution is a 2-minute viral track. It's an intellectually healthy way to approach art in a changing landscape.
It's highly adaptable, I'll give you that. But I still question what gets lost in that problem solving. If your only metric for success is catching the algorithm's attention, like the band's kind of action did with their viral resurgence recently.
Which was brilliant, by the way.
Sure, you might solve the distribution puzzle, but you risk losing the accidental magic that made your early tracks resonate in the first place.
And that is the crux of where we diverge. I view this pivot to 2-minute algorithmic music as a brilliant, modern extension of their hyper-productive, instinct-driven pop roots. To me, the algorithm is just the newest instrument in their toolkit.
And I maintain that the friction of those early physical instruments, the limited memory, the messy recording processes, that created an accidental brilliance that you simply cannot manufacture by reverse engineering a TikTok trend.
It is truly fascinating, though, to watch them continue to evolve. I mean, they mentioned exploring AI-assisted arrangements now, which really bridges our 2 points.
Yeah, it really does.
It's the ultimate modern shortcut, but it requires a totally new kind of human curation to keep the music from sounding sterile.
Absolutely. The tools shift from hardware samplers to AI algorithms, but the core tension remains. How does a creator survive the mechanics of modern distribution without entirely dissolving their artistic identity?
It's a question every creator faces today. When you're trying to capture people's attention, are you adapting to the medium, or is the medium finally consuming you? We'll leave you to think on that.